we have attempted to do this about 3 times, I think. So now
we're perfected how to say our names.
Right. Oh my God.
Welcome to Sister Wives Reactions. My name's Amanda, and today we have a guest, my best friend Nicole.
So this is Sister Wife Reactions. My name's Amanda. I have been a fan of this show since it started in like 2010. So I've watched every single season, every episode, probably multiple times for God knows why. So that's me.
I'm Nicole. I have never watched an episode. I never will. It's boring. Why? Why are we watching a show about a bunch of bitchy women? No.
And it's been so much more fun just to talk about it and get your perspective from someone who has basically, you've just seen like commercials on TV advertising for the show or something like that. So it's just been fun talking to someone who's never seen it. There's a part of me that's trying to make a case for the show to like get you to watch it, even though I know you never will. But even myself, I'm just like, don't do it. Don't do it. This is more fun to just talk about it.
For you, it's a train wreck. You enjoy that train wreck. For me, I can't even sit through television I enjoy watching it more than 5 minutes, and I get up and wander away. And you want me to watch some trash that I don't even want to watch? Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, so this has been fun. I mean, even the last episode was a lot of fun, so I'm glad that we're doing it again. Even in this episode, I struggled for a bit of like, what are we actually going to talk about? To the point that I really forgot this episode and had to rewatch it. But I remember now that it's like 2/3 of this episode is pointless. But then that last third of the episode.
Only 2/3? Only 2/3 of this show is pointless?
So there is something to talk about, but not very much. So this is season 19, episode 8. I don't even fucking remember the name of the episode, so we're just gonna go right past that. And the show's doing this weird thing where it starts with like a coming up thing. It kind of reminds me of YouTube. They're trying to do some kind of hook to get you to watch it by showing you little glimpse of whatever they think you want to see. And it's just weird because part of it is actually flashbacking to the previous episode, and then part of it is things coming up in this episode. It makes no sense.
They could just give up and show us porn. That's what people want to see.
Oh my God, I think you're right. Well, I thought your idea from last episode was really good too, about instead of putting in all these confessionals and other adults commenting on something they're not even involved in, why don't they have viewers or people who have posted stuff about their reaction to the show? Like that would be more fun. It reminds me a little bit of what's that show on MTV? It's like this skateboarder guy hosted it, and it was kind of like a clip show, but it had like real people in it too. Anyways, never mind. Forget I said it.
I have real people in it, but yeah, I don't know what that show is either. I know the family. What was the family one back in the 90s where they would you'd have 3 finalists and they'd show like the clips of guys getting hit in the junk and then people falling on their face and then the little kid getting hit in the head with a bat. Those were always the 3 episodes, right? And then you had to choose the winner out of the
violence.
3.
Yeah. Violence is funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Porn and violence. That's all we want to see.
Oh my God.
So they need to choose one of those 3 things to get your hook in. Slam somebody in the junk, hit somebody over the head with a plastic baseball bat. That's my vote, actually. Or just have somebody run into like a wall really hard. Bam! Whoa.
Or I think my favorite was the people who would go on the like a rope swing or any kind of swing into water with like you'd think they know how deep it is, or that there's a giant rock there.
Or they miss the water.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I think that was America's Funniest Home Videos.
Home videos, yes.
Yeah, where people would actually send in that stuff.
On VHS tapes that they themselves recorded.
Yes, exactly.
None of it was ever staged.
Postage, you got to get a stamp. You had to mail it in.
Stamp.
Too many steps.
They didn't just stamp. Anybody
It's
stamp
funny
something to put
because
on
this-
it? Jeez.
the
Like,
show
at least
has so- the show has so low production value that it's like I'm kind of surprised they haven't just like stolen stuff off of YouTube or like
there was a show in
or TikTok or
2010
something.
2010 that did that. They took clips of YouTube and tried the America's Funniest Home Video style YouTube edition, and it wasn't called that, but essentially that's what it was. There you
It was
go.
on TV for a
It
while.
happened, and nobody watched it. So
Oh God. All right. So this episode starts off with Christine and David. So Christina's
Christina's the one that's went through the divorce. The first wife or the second wife that reminds you of me? I forgot already who these people
number
are.
3 that you and Christine are not alike at all. Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
You remind me of the second wife, Janelle.
Janelle. I forgot who these people were. So Christine, she is the third wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the one that's still married to him, or she's not married to him anymore?
No, she's the first one that left him, but she's the one that's dating.
Oh, she's the one getting married to the. Oh my God, she's getting married to that one dude that was. What did I call him? Oh my God, what did I call him?
I'm supposed to remember. I don't remember exactly, but it was something to do with dinosaurs.
I like dinosaurs.
I like
dinosaurs, guys.
I think you referred to him as an 8-year-old. I think you referred to him as something else. I don't remember.
I like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
She's getting married to I like dinosaur, dude. Dinosaurs. Oh my God.
Right.
Okay,
and
dinosaur
so
dude. Got it.
The last episode, they're looking at wedding venues, and even though they're saying they're not engaged. So in this episode, we get a little brief intro where, so basically we're going to see them shopping for rings, but right before they show that, they show David coming over to her house, and a bunch of Christine's kids are there, which the majority of them are adults. There's only one still living at home that's a teenager. And
she was with the golden cock guy for like long enough for her kids to be an adult?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
She's had kids that have like gone through college and stuff. So yeah. I would say the majority of her kids are there interacting with this guy. So one character you have not met yet is Christine's only son, but only biological son, Peyton. Now,
wait, what do you mean biological? So she had like 20 daughters?
So she herself has like 5 or 6 kids. And then Janelle has like 6. So she considers like Janelle's kids her kids.
Who's
and then
Janelle?
Mary had 1 kid. Janelle's the one who's like you.
So wait, she just divorced this guy and stole everybody's children?
What? What?
She divorces the golden cock.
Oh,
and steals all the children? Is she like the Pied Piper?
That's how he sees her. Yes.
She's the Pied Piper. Yes.
The kids chose her in the divorce. Yes.
But they're not even her mom.
But she was the one that basically raised them, even though she's not the bio mom. So they all consider her a mom.
So these other women lost their kids to the Pied Piper simply because she was the unfortunate short straw drawing one that got to stay at home while everybody else worked and took care of her. Oh, I'd be pissed. I mean, right? She stole my kids.
No. So when I look back on the history of the show, it's like, I think of it this way. So Cody's just on the peripheral, like he's doing whatever the fuck he wants all the time.
He's useless. Golden cocks are useless.
Janelle was like working full time and bringing in a lot of money to the family, and she was kind of more of the dad figure, where Christine was the mom. So Janelle would do stuff with her kids when she was off work, but she was really happy. Like she always talked about how good it was that Christine could take care of her kids when she was at work.
So are you telling me that these women really just divorced each other and had nothing to do with the golden cock?
I mean, and looking back on the show, I think that for whatever reason earlier on, they saw him in a different light, that he did more, they needed him more. But there's literally an episode where Christine is like changing the hoses on her dryer and doing things that like you would just ask your husband to do. Like they
or
were doing
get a
these things for
boyfriend or
themselves.
offer sex for hoses. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do here.
But it's like these women really like clung together, and the key thing to know too is like, so he had the 3 wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, for like,
So
I
why
think
didn't they just leave
17
him together?
or 17 or 19 years before he married his 4th wife.
But why didn't those 3 women, did the 3 women just not get along? Because it sounds like they had a perfect relationship, the 3 of them. Like they had not relationship, a situationship. Like they got kids, like the 2 dad figures had money and kids. The mommy had support and children, and they all lived in their own separate hovels. So why didn't they just kick the dude out, which was just eating their money? He wasn't making his own. And then they are just a hovel of women who community live together and have, side pieces.
A different polygamy show I watched called My 5 Wives, it kind of was like this comparison to this family, for me anyways, to see the differences, where it's like, so in this situation of sister wives, he kind of pinned and played the wives off of each other. Like gossip was rampant and problems were rampant, and he would like position it so that they always had some type of strife. And
so he never got kicked
really
out
early on. Yeah.
He made himself be needed. He forced them to need him, when in reality, if they really saw the truth, they would have seen he was useless and the other 2 women were better husbands and she was a better wife, and just do that and then get themselves what they needed, when they were lonely or whatever.
Right. And yeah, I mean, because there through the book and different stuff looking back, it's like, yeah, he really did this where they were like in constant strife with each other, so they wouldn't have seen that community, because it's also like, oh, I have to get what I can for my kids before this other wife takes the resources for like her kids. But it's kind of weird because that is going on, but at the same time, Janelle is needing Christine so much to watch her kids while she's at work. You know what I mean? So they always kind of had to work with each other, regardless of other issues in the family or personality clashes or whatever. They always had to kind of find a way, which now in the show where they both have left him, it really shows in their friendship where, like, first when Christine left, there was this, it's beautiful but really sad at the same time. Like, Christine left him, and then she was selling her house and moving out of Flagstaff, moving away. And Janelle had come to see her and gave her a hug and was crying and everything. And she was like, didn't want to see her go. It was really painful for her, of like, this sad thing where
trauma bonding.
Yeah. And I think Janelle also was like, I still care for this person, want to be in her life, but I'm still married to her ex, and the position that puts her in, where she had like, yeah, exactly. Like, she trauma bonded with her. And it was very hard. It was actually a very touching scene of like real authentic emotion, which is kind of rare on this show where you see something like that.
Yeah.
And like both her and Christine have kind of made this point of like, we're going to be friends and in each other's lives. And they still call each other sister wives, even though what made them that was connected to the one man. They still see their relationship as like more than friends. They've shared so much of their life together. So it's beautiful now, but yeah, I think it took a really long time, and it took kind of what we talked about before. Like, I don't think that they really would have seen things clearly if it hadn't have been for that separation they had during COVID. Like, they had time to heal. They had time to kind of break free of that. Something that their husband, who was so fixated on himself, could never have dreamed would have been a benefit for them out of that whole situation. He only saw what he was getting.
Right. He thought they're just going to be sad and lonely because he's not there. So I do have a question. How does Janelle feel about her kids? Now, did her kids abandon her, or do they just have two moms now?
They have two moms.
Okay, so Janelle's kids didn't leave Janelle. They just acknowledge both as parents.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was thinking Janelle's kids straight up, peace out, bitch. Yo, I'm going with mom over here.
No, not at all. But I think that it's still this mother-father kind of relationship where they're
Right.
like, Christine was the homemaker. You know, she made all the baked goods. We did homeschooling for years. She was the one who was home all day. And it's kind of in a strange way where like Janelle was really like the father figure. Like,
Right.
I think there's a lot more.
Wait until your father gets home when they were in trouble.
Yeah, kind of thing. So it's an interesting dynamic, but no, her kids were always her kids, but she definitely knew like they all really were connected to Christine, and a credit to Janelle of like not trying to cut that off or rewrite that or something.
No,
You
I'm
know?
glad. So they see as two moms, which is really cool.
Mhm.
That actually makes me feel good. So even though they're trauma bonding, they still realize that makes you think, oh, they're actually trying to do what's right by their kids. Because yes, they were in a cult, and yes, they were attached to this horrible person that made them think all these things. But then when they got the opportunity to see what was really going on, they moved on in their own way and in their own
Mhm.
timing. But their kids, who they roped into this cult, they roped into this lifestyle, now have the problem where they have two moms. Well, really have five moms, right? But they have basically their mom that raised them and their mom that took care of them, their daddy mom and their mommy mom.
Mhm.
And I like hearing that Janelle really allowed her kids to cling to that. And that shows me, or at least helps me see if it's true. And it seems you were saying it was really authentic. It really
Mhm.
shows me that in the end, those two at least, their kids are actually important to them. Whereas some of the other women you've talked about, the kids were not important at all. And that was really disheartening about the whole show. For one, that this show is highlighting this horrid abuse of these children and just toting it around and waving the flag of watch this train wreck as we ruin children's lives. But no, it actually there is children that had a good upbringing. I mean, that mommy loved them and cared for them, so much so that when she left her husband, her non-kids, she not only she left with them and welcomes them to her life. She didn't just say, peace out, yo, you're not my kids. I'm not part of that cult. Fuck you. Because she could have easily done that too. Because that's a hurtful,
Mhm.
being in that kind of environment, being with someone that you realize has been hurting you and tearing you down and just ruining who you are, just ripping your entire persona apart, where you have to now build yourself up and make yourself into who you want to be after, I don't know how old she was, but me 45, right? So you
Mhm.
have to realize from the abuse and come out of it. And plus she has kids that are still calling her mommy that she knows are not her kids. They're
Right.
not hers. And a relationship with a woman that was part of the reason it was so terrible, but understanding that it wasn't her fault, it was still this dude's fault. So being able to
Yeah.
compartmentalize is one going to make it longer to heal, but it sounds like she hasn't, because she's got the dinosaur dude, and that's just fucking weird. But in the
Yeah.
end, she did it for her kids. She didn't do it for her kids, but the kids were important to her.
Right. And I do think it's a rare thing compared to like other stories I've heard and other podcasts I've listened to, where sometimes when you are the first one to leave the family, that's not a given that any relationships will stay intact.
Right.
That even not only that, but that even your relationships with your own kids will stay intact, especially
Right.
since you had adult children, Like none of that is a given in that situation. And I think Christine
and that's what happens.
Yeah, is very, very fortunate that she hasn't had any of her kids refuse to talk to her, and that she's been able to preserve the relationship with Janelle and with Janelle's kids. Sometimes I feel like they don't know how fortunate they are, but they're kind of far enough removed from they didn't live in the area where that church is to be inundated by people who are all in that religion,
Right.
So they kind of were able to remove themselves from it a little bit. But it is pretty rare, from what I understand, to have any of those relationships stay intact. So that has been a good thing to see. Now, on Christine's side, she's just, it's hard for me because I think part of her does love and care for her kids, but the other part of her is this selfish teenager now where she just doesn't care.
I'm going to tell you a secret. That's a normal behavior when you come out of a long-term relationship like that. Is you have a few years of being a little bit of a teenager. I don't know why. I had to Google it myself. It's a thing. Accept it.
Right. So that would explain why dating someone for 6 weeks means marriage.
Dinosaur dude, to me, I mean, he's fucking ridiculous, but I honestly understand it. I do. And I had to really sit myself down and a couple of times I made some stupid decisions. And I'm like, did you really just make that decision? To myself? Did you really just make that decision? And had to walk it back, be like, what are you doing? You're not this dumb. And I had to really, really remind myself and just really put rules around myself. So while I was in that teenager mode, that teenage mindset, I wouldn't be doing that kind of thing again, whatever it is I was doing. But you still have that freedom. You still have that you're free now. You're able to do these things without putting yourself in danger.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're talking about. I remember the struggle you had over spending $10 for a little bit.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Well, this is from my point of view.
I didn't tell you about some of the stupid decisions I made.
Yeah, you were keeping a lot of that to yourself.
Yeah. I had my own dinosaur dude, but no, there's no marriage on the table. But
well, thank God for that.
But I had to really understand and Google and really heal. But I could see it. I could see where I was starting to go in that direction. And I'm like, what are you doing? I had to have a conversation with myself. Intervention, what are you doing? And the $10 thing, yes, the money thing, I was losing my mind, and then I would go spend like crazy, and then I would not spend, and I'd be freaking out, and just everything kind of becomes over the top, freak out, over the top, freak out, and you just keep going, swinging that pendulum to the extremes until you finally make it to the middle.
So do you find that you have some understanding in her situation, maybe even because she's come from such a restrictive religion, whatever, that, and also being kind of quite conservative, is her view of rebellion is as soon as, because it's interesting with the time frame being so short that it's also a rebellion to the religion thing, or somehow getting, one hand, it's rebellion kind of thing to just hop into this relationship. But on the other hand, it's a getting permission for it, right? You're married, so no one can say anything bad anymore because you married that person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's, I think, yes. So that's kind of why I think, yes. So if you stay in the religion, then you have to make allowances for your teenage behavior. And the way to make allowances for that behavior is marriage. Definitely fortunate I am not in that boat. So I didn't feel that push of being married, a whole different situation.
Well, and I don't think she's in like the not with the polygamous sect, but I wonder about him, if he's like LDS, if he's part of the Mormon church, like, or maybe just being in Utah and being conservative. There's something about like them feeling like they have to get married. And I just go back to like my own history of, I think one of the reasons that Josh and I got married so fast was that it would be like approved in everybody's eyes. Like no one can say anything now that you're married, right? Whereas people would try and spread rumors and say not nice things or make innuendos about what we were doing. But once we were married, like that was kind of the epitome in that culture, right? It's like you've done this big expected thing, good thing. So now no one can say anything bad anymore.
Now
and I just wonder if that's something going on as well too. Like let's hurry up and get married because now no one can say anything bad about whatever we're doing.
Yes, and I absolutely think that one, she rushed into the first set of arms she could find because she didn't know. It's a really weird dynamic to go from, especially since she was a housewife, right? So she had spent 20 years taking care of someone, taking care of children, taking care of a house, taking care of all these things. And then suddenly she's not. And you're used to doing things for people. You're used to helping people. You become identified by helping people, by helping those you love and who you care about. And now suddenly you're getting attention from a man that basically you're getting attention and you like it and you want it. And the only way you know how to reciprocate is the way you've been doing it for 20 years. So you do that. And that is a situation of love bombing, right? So you naturally, so the guy, typically in these situations, a man will love bomb and she will do it back because she doesn't know any other way. She thinks that the way love works, because it's been 20 years of it working this way, is taking care of the man, is taking care of feeding, cleaning up, because men tend to want that, especially in conservative, especially LDS, or those conservative Christians. They want the barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, and she had lived that, and so she was more than willing to continue to offer that service in exchange for what she thinks is love, because she hasn't given her a chance to rediscover who she is. She hasn't given her a chance to rediscover who she wants to be. Now that her kids are out of the home, and one teenager, I mean, practically out of the home, she has an opportunity to rediscover herself, but she's losing that opportunity because she's confused and just dazed and confused. Just the bright lights of shininess are just shining everywhere. I mean, she was neglected for years, and now a man's not neglecting her. What do you think's going to happen? She's going to go to a man not neglecting her and give it everything she has, and it's going to be terrible. And you hope to your heart's most that she happened to pick a good man. But I'm going to tell you a secret. Chances are she didn't. Because there's a reason she's 40 and he's 40. And he likes dinosaurs. I mean, come on. There are decent 40-year-old men out there. I shouldn't say there aren't, or 45. There's decent older men.
I think they're in their 50s.
They're 50s. They're decent older men. There are. The thing is, you don't find them in the first go round. You don't find them in the second go round. You gotta there is a search to find these dudes. They are hidden under rocks. Holy fuck, I know. They are hidden. And she did not just discover a gem sitting on the top of the pile. She didn't. I'm sorry. That's not how that works.
Yeah, I think some things were really telling that we talked about where, he says that, she does stuff for him or takes care of him or whatever.
Oh, that's right. I like like dinosaurs and she does stuff for me. Yay! That's what I called him. That's right.
It was kind of like, some of this is more telling, and I think more of his mainstream LDS is showing a lot more. And something in the beginning of this episode that's just so hilarious to me, because I kind of had an outburst toward the screen when Josh and I were watching it, is when they go to pick out rings. And I could just ask you, like, what do you think is the most ugliest style of ring that you could pick? And then I'm gonna, after you tell me that, I'm gonna go in to describe what this ring is that they picked out for the engagement ring.
The one that looks like the princess crown, that's like all cute, 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 and just keeps going up, right? Or the one with the stick and then the stem circling around it. I hate those. Let's see what else.
I love your descriptions. It's great.
Wedding rings in general are actually kind of ugly. I remember when Richard, I really was like, honey, which one are you going to go with? And I kept pestering. He's like, it's fine. I was like, it's not fine, because fucking ugly wedding rings are ugly as shit. They are tacky. And I'm not a huge jewelry person, but they are tacky and they're all
particular.
I am particular. And he did pick a good one, I will say. Of the things, he got a good one. It was, inset. But no, like the ones my mom would have was like the chunk, and then it just progressively gets a bigger chunk until it comes to a point on the top, and it looks kind of like those old-fashioned crowns. But it goes chunk, chunk, and like the more the diamonds, the more chunky. Like it goes from like the quarter carat up, and then you just have these massive rocks sitting on your finger, like you're gonna like strike somebody, it's gonna like rip off half their face, and you can make your own zombies that way.
I remember my great aunt had some of those rings, and one time when she was getting admitted to the hospital, like the paramedics are coming to get her, my mom said that she turned to her and was like, take all the rings off my hand, because she was afraid the paramedics were going to steal her awful jewelry.
Nobody, that's the thing about, nobody is going to give up their job for $2,000 worth of jewelry. Nobody fucking cares. But anyway, so or the one, the single solitaire diamond that just sticks out the top of your hand like a giant beacon, and then where they glue the other two around it for some reason, that's like just to make it look like a wedding setting. And I'm like, oh God, those are so the 80s style, right? 80s and 90s, and it just like
you're gonna offend a lot of people in their wedding rings they have.
I can't help it. They're so tacky. God, they're so tacky. I mean, mine was very inlaid, nothing stuck out. The one I inherited, same thing, very inlaid, nothing stuck out. Tacky.
The one I had, it wasn't inlaid, but I liked it because it wasn't high up, but it was like on the band. But I remember when I had it just a couple months, I went to scratch my face like this, and I just scratched like I cut my face.
You made yourself a zombie. All right, what's your ring look like? Bring this on. Let's see.
Okay, so the ring is a marquee cut, which is kind of like that long diamond skinny kind of cut.
Yeah, princess cut.
And so when they're there, David is saying that he in his first marriage he had a gold band, so he didn't want that, so he chose this black band. And then she's like, oh my God, I have the best idea ever. Why don't we have this yellow gold ring have a black band in it to match his ring? And then when it shows you a picture of like it's not the actual picture of the ring, but it's like a mock-up of it. It has the yellow gold band, it has a black band, and then it looks like it has a silver band,
which is the white gold. Why didn't they just get matching black bands?
Because they're going to get matching black tattoos, so maybe that's why.
Please, for the love of Jesus, tell me they're going to get matching tattoos of each other's names. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's a name. They already got them done.
They deserve it. They deserve to inflict their names on each other. So when they get a divorce, because inevitably this is what's going to happen, they're going to have someone else's name on their skin. And I am so happy about that.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a name, but I will ask you this question. Where on Christine's body do you think she got that tattoo?
You know where they should have gotten them? Where the two connect on a regular basis. That's where it should have happened. It didn't.
So they make a bigger picture or something.
Yeah. I mean, romantic, right? Right? Yeah.
That's a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. And then now it's stuck in my head. I'm sorry. All I can think about is this with the name and the name, and it makes a complete picture. Sorry. Where do I think she got the did she get a tramp stamp? Tramp stamp.
No, but I'll give you two more guesses.
Well, I got this is one, right? The tramp stamp is two.
Incorrect.
Oh, dang. Okay, two more. I mean, the arm is so maybe on the inner thigh.
Nope.
Because I mean, the arm is so boring, so I don't think the arm. But like, did they get it matching like on their rib or something? They're religious on the rib.
No, but that would have been sweet.
That makes sense with religion, right?
Yes, it totally would. I don't know if he has his in the same place as she has hers. I might have to research that. But she got it on the titty.
See, titty, but then I thought, what is right?
And she likes to wear a lot of those dresses that just have one shoulder.
One shoulder. She
Yeah.
one locked off.
So she likes to wear the dress style, where it's just like over one shoulder. So that
and then it just shows
exposed
the
a little
tattoo
bit.
just kind of like as she has the cleavage, it just. And what is the tattoo? Is it? It's not his name.
No,
I mean,
it's like a heart or a butterfly or some stupid shit like that.
What? Why? Why did it? And he got matching tattoos. He got a heart or a butterfly or some stupid shit. They're matching tattoos, or they just got a tattoo together.
I think they're matching.
He put a butterfly on his body. He's straight, right?
Yeah, he's straight.
I mean, I like dinosaurs. That sounds pretty straight to me. But if he does stuff for me, that sounds pretty straight to me. But
right, yeah.
You got a
sex in a sandwich sounds pretty straight.
What?
Sex in a sandwich sounds pretty straight to me.
That's what he sounds like, a sex sandwich kind of guy. Go make me a sandwich. Yeah. I still like my original location of the
they missed an opportunity for sure.
The rib sounds really romantic-ish if you're into that, right? Not totally, but religious. Painful. Well, but it's religious, right? It's religious, so I got it. On the tit, that makes. I mean, where is his? That's gonna make it like. Is his like on his mouth, so it like at least has a point? I don't get it.
Oh my god.
Is hers a leaf and his is a butterfly on his mouth? I mean, come on.
They missed an opportunity for sure. For sure.
Yeah, they totally did. They totally did.
Oh my god. Yeah. No, they're just, I think you're right. It's just this wild teenager doing weird random shit.
Yeah. And I understand that. You really have to have
awkward as humanly possible.
Yeah. You have to be very self-aware to rein that in quickly. And most people aren't, honestly. They really aren't. And I get it. I do get it. It's unfortunate. It's like unless you go through it, you don't understand it because you're like, that seems dumb. And I'm like, you're right. And for years, I thought it was dumb when I'd see people get divorces after long-term marriages, good or bad, right? Just long-term marriages get a divorce and then they're fucking teenagers. I'm like, that makes no sense. And then I lived it. And I'm like, oh, shit, now I understand.
And then how many is it? Is it 3 or 4 years post-divorce?
February 2022. Yep, February of 22.
Oh,
It was finalized. We separated in May of 21.
So you've been a free woman for a little bit now.
For a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're still in your teenager phase?
Actually, no. I think I've got a good head on my shoulders. Yeah. We're just gonna go with I'm out of teenager phase.
Okay. Moving on.
Incriminate myself, but then I realized there's no need to incriminate myself. But
no,
in the end,
I don't want you to. It's just because these women have gone through these divorces, I'm just curious of things that like you could relate to, or you could say, hey, that's understandable, or you're like, I don't fucking know what the hell's going on. It's just an interesting perspective on
like totally relate to the teenage phase. I literally one time I was like, what are you doing? I had to sit myself down and be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing these things? Why are you making these crazy, stupid decisions that are dangerous at minimum, like stupid at maximum, potentially dangerous? And I really, really had to set up boundaries and rules for myself in order to make sure that even though I was kind of that teenage stupidity, I still wouldn't do things that were going to have permanent ramifications. And I just know for me personally, rules are how I do that. So I know it doesn't seem like I'm a rule follower, but I'm all about rules because that's exactly how you get away with stuff, right? So
yeah. Yep. I just think whenever you go down this reasoning, I just think like of how you play board games and how you defend yourself that you don't cheat in board games.
No, I can take advantage of the rules.
It's not against the rules, so it can't be cheating.
Can't be cheating.
Oh my gosh. Yep. There's these games that we'd play where I think the one was like a Star Wars game where you could choose to be the bad guy, and then you had all this leniency with the bad guy character. And it made it so easy for you to win. And you're like, well, I didn't break any of the rules. So games like that, I know I'm set up to fail if there's a bad guy in it, where it gives you all these like things you can do that no one else could do. Oh, bye, Josh.
Bye, Josh.
See you later. See you later.
Well, no, because I was like, I don't think you ever played Risk with me, but for that game, I always chose the good guys because they had a lot of limitations, but the way their rules were set up, there was ways to not cheat. I totally won that game a lot. But I love the game of Risk. I love Risk because there's so many rules, which means there's so many ways to get around that game and win and cheat. I mean, not cheat. Yeah, but essentially, I knew self-aware. She is obviously not self-aware. She does not have somebody to sit her down and intervene. Like, is her parents dead? People she cares. What about Arlene? What was the name of the other chick?
Janelle.
Yes, Janelle. What about Janelle? Why isn't Janelle sitting her down and being like, look, I get it. You want to have fun, but let's limit it to fun and not go as far as marriage. I mean, she has people that care about her, I'm assuming, but no, she did, because she had her kids sit down and talk to her, and they basically said, this is a stupid idea, and she said, fuck you all, I'm going to do it anyway. So never mind.
Right. I mean, even in this episode where they show David come over to the house and they're having a meal and a lot of the kids are there, they're kind of giving David a hard time, but they're also like, this is what I was saying, is like Christine's oldest son is like giving him a hard time, kind of being an ass just for the sake of being an ass. Whereas like her daughters are a little bit more accommodating and like getting used to being around him. So, I mean, in some ways, that's why I'm saying like she tries to like integrate the kids, but in other ways that she doesn't, where it's like, I'm still going to do what I want. I don't care. In regards to Janelle, I think she's just like Christine would be more apt to tell Janelle what to do and like is like more hard on her, where Janelle and you have similar personality, where it's like Christine's going to live her own life. Her choices are not Janelle's problem anymore. Like they used to be a family unit where she would have to be responsible for good or bad choices that all the adults made. But now it's like, you know, you live your life, I live my life. Like I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. But also Janelle's expectations of Cody were always like super low. Like if he was a good father, that was enough for her for many, many, many years. So her comment in regards to David is just, oh, well, he raised his 8 kids, so he must be a good man. And she just, and she's like,
she just set the bar low. She basically says, is his dick hard and does it make you happy? Great, you're good. Hop on. I mean, there's more to life than that, but apparently not in this world.
No, and I think that, you know, she just sees her as being happy and making decisions for herself. I mean, those aren't decisions that Janelle would make. But she's not putting that pressure on her, like, you know, telling her not to do it or whatever. She's just kind of staying really, I think, just being like, I support whatever you do. If it's what you want to do, I support you. Yeah. Like, I don't have any responsibility in any of this.
Right. But, and that's fair. But at the same time, I don't have responsibility of you, right? But if you were doing something that if you were doing something that is not a good idea, and I know you know it's not a good idea, I don't think it's a good idea. And in the past, I would, as your friend, as someone who cares about you, I would bring it to your attention and at least talk to you about it. And in the past, you had thought something I did was not a good idea. And so you're like, look, as a friend, I need to bring this up.
Just once. So you're going to start with my lecture, my statement I say going into it.
Yep. As your friend, I'm going to bring this up, but only this once. And then that means I need to shut up and I need to allow you to get it all out. And then I can defend or not defend, change my mind or whatever, but you've at least put it out there that you care. You put a lot of thought into this because of that. And this is the information that you wish for me to see that I perhaps am not seeing myself. I remember when I got married, you did that because you were very concerned about Richard.
You guys were engaged, going to get married and everything. And I felt like, yeah, I definitely had some concerns, but I just love how, I don't even know where I came up with this statement, but or why I even felt this way, but it was like, I so rehearsed in my brain, if I'm ever going to say something uncomfortable to you, like maybe you won't agree with it. I'm like, as your friend, I'm going to tell you this, but I think in true and like authentic for me is when I say I'm bringing this up just this one time, I just bring it up the one time. Yes. Like it wasn't like throughout the years you were married, I wasn't like, why are you with this fucking asshole? But I didn't even think that at the time, but wasn't like bringing it up, you know?
No.
It's and like you're an adult, you make your own choices, mm-hmm. But you know, also as a friend, sometimes I feel like I can't just sit on something, or I don't feel like I'm a true friend if I don't say something, even if it's uncomfortable.
And that's fair, but you also know at which point. So there are some relationships that you have that you don't do that. So you also know like the level, like Janelle and Christine, like mm-hmm. If there was a heartfelt love moment where they share their kids, in my view, that's a pretty intense relationship or a situationship that is turned into a relationship. So situationships, whatever, no fucking care about those. Those are whatever.
Right.
But relationships where you actually are heartfelt and you actually concern yourself with the other person, that goes a step beyond. I'm not going to go to, there are people that are making dumbass decisions in my life right now that I'm like, hey, you want to know a good idea? And I provide them with excellent advice to make it worse for them, because to me that's funny, but that's their own decision. That's their own choices. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that to people that there's a difference. And I feel like with Janelle, if there's truly that relationship there, but I mean, people don't think like I do. A lot of people don't have the same, levels of, I don't know. I forget people aren't as intense as I am. I forget I have an intensity that is a little unhinged, and people are difficult to deal with my intensity.
I think the other part to it too is like there's episodes where Christine has been really aggressive with Janelle of like, are you divorced or not? You need to call Cody and tell him you're divorced from him. And Christine wanting her to really like have some official finality or something to it. And then in Janelle's confessional, she'll say like, she doesn't need that. Like she knows it's over and she can tell him that. And because they just had like their spiritual marriage, she doesn't feel like there's some big grandiose moment that has to happen like what Christine needed. Christine needed that finality. It was a very uncomfortable episode where we see the conversations play out and we see the tense and the tension and the hostility and everything. And Janelle just knows for herself she doesn't need it. So I think in a way, Janelle's response of like, I hope Christine's like happy with, with David and all the stuff, is also a reaction to Christine being so intense to her, where she's like, you know what, do your own thing, happy for you. Like, it's kind of like a reaction to how aggressive Christine was with her. Like, okay, I'm just going to kind of pull back and not really be involved in this as well. So their friendship is kind of interesting too, because it's intense in some ways and super connected, but in other ways it's kind of distant and may continue to be distant over time. Like the more Janelle focuses on her older kids and her grandkids, maybe this relationship won't last like they think that it will. Especially, I think,
the kids are older now.
Well, yeah, and I think with Christine, like she needs to take care of somebody, and she needs to be like all encompassing on them, and them be her whole world. And I just feel like that's what she did with Cody. That's what she's going to do with David. And when you're like that, you don't have room for other people.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Right now it's all like great and amazing and honeymoon phase, but I think over time there'll be changes that not everybody's happy with. And there'll be them struggling to in a way it's weird. It's like the relationship is still authentic, but in another way it's a show. So they still have to deal with each other and have storylines together. So I just look at that sometimes like how long, I mean, I guess you could fake it on a show for a while, but there's definitely some things causing distance. Like we know that, so from like social media stuff and some things the show's hinting at, we know that Janelle is going to buy property with her oldest daughter and her oldest daughter's husband. Like they're buying this small farm and they're getting into this business together, which is in North Carolina. And Christine is in Utah with David. So there's going to be more distance, like actual physical distance, but on top of that, they're going to be focused on different relationships. So I don't know. I don't know what it says to the future of it, but it's just like, there's a thing to Janelle that is like, if she can disassociate or create distance in something so that she doesn't have the heat on her, that's what she does. So I don't know. I guess that's my long way of saying I think she just was caught off guard by Christine's aggressiveness. And her thing is like, I'm just going to be nice.
Right. And I think that's just a symptom of a teenager. Because when you're a teenager, you're aggressive. Everything's, oh, you don't support me. You don't, I mean, think about when you were a teenager. Everything was a meltdown. I'm telling you, leaving a long-term relationship, it's the same way. Everything's a meltdown. You don't support me. And it blows my mind how you go through that. It really does. Not to rehash, but just trust me.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. I'm going to look at my notes for a second because I'm like,
I think, yeah, move to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, wow. We talked about some of this already. Okay. The good part is towards the end. I mean, we have some confessionals with Cody and Robyn kind of putting in their 2 cents on stuff.
Who's Robyn again?
Robyn is the wife that's still with him. That's the 4th wife.
Oh, she's the current, like, made everybody leave him. Like, that's the COVID wife. Got it.
Yeah, that's the COVID wife. Something shocking. So not the content of what she's saying is shocking because they're all the time she's always supporting him and saying, oh, he's through like an anger phase kind of thing. But really, he's a good man. That's a lot of what she says. But it's not the word.
Good man in that.
What's shocking to me in this confessional, so always in her confessional, she's always wearing some type of floral print and usually like some shade of purple with the floral print. But in this confessional, she's wearing not plain, it's like a dressy shirt, but it's just solid purple, no floral print. The first thing my mind went to is this like Britney Spears? She did her video and it was like when she was wearing yellow, that was a cry for help. So I thought, Robyn not having flowers on her shirt, is that her cry for help? Like a subtle, like I'm just changing what I wear. It's very weird. Caught me off guard because she always, the other podcast, they talk about how she always dresses business casual like a secretary. She's always wearing like slacks and a floral blouse. It's like her uniform that she always wears. So I thought it was so weird that she didn't have flowers on her shirt.
That's interesting. I have no idea. I mean, honestly, in my divorce, I just did it myself.
No, I mean, Robyn. This is Robyn, the one who's still with him.
And Robyn, the one who hasn't left him yet. When I was ready to leave, I just walked out the fucking door. But I think that Robyn's cry for help, I mean, who is she asking for help? Or is she just creating, is she trying to create drama to amp up the show? Or because, I mean, essentially somebody's going to notice, you noticed. Or, I mean, she likes purple. Ugh. I mean, purple's a nice color, but I mean, always the purple. Like maybe I don't have answers for you. I just think that if it's a cry for help, maybe she can get a tattoo on her boob and then wear a shirt that,
She just slowly morphs into Christine.
Like she did by accident. Whoops.
She goes blonde.
Right. Whoops. Her shirt falls open. Oops. And it says help.
And it says help. I thought I was going to say like Cody. Like,
right. Well, no, because the other one got a butterfly or got a leaf. So he had a butterfly. So he eats the leaf. But no, so she, the matching sister wives. So she got help me on her boob because that's what she needs. I don't know. I shouldn't mock people that need help. But at the same time, does she really feel, is Cody such a bad person that he's, sorry, tying her to the bed so she can't go away when he's not looking? I mean, when the cameras stop rolling, is she chained to the wall? What?
No, his style isn't that way at all. His style is like manipulation and emotionally kind of wearing you down. Like, I think that's more his style, is he's just going to wear you down till you do what he wants or you're convinced that it was your decision to give him what he wants. Like, that's so
basically more she doesn't want to do what it is that she wants her to do.
She's she's also, see, this thing is, she's sometimes people are like, is she the mastermind? Is she so delusional? Because she'll make comments like she's still hoping the whole family still gets together and that everybody will live on the property and that there's still like reconciliation can still happen. And
is that what Cody wants?
I think there's Cody, it feels like he tells all the wives different things.
Right.
So like he must tell her these things, and he must tell her these things, and then she believes him or something, because it's so crazy that there's all these actual divorces and stuff happening. Or he'll use really vague language of like he's of just trying, like identifying emotions or something, or in my opinion saying things he thinks people want to hear, like saying I'm heartbroken, or I'm hurt, or I'm healing from this. Like he'll use all this terminology
So
that
is he a sociopath then? He doesn't know how to express he doesn't like have his own emotions, but he's just pretending to have them, or is it a narcissistic situation?
I think it's more of a narcissistic situation, but I've wondered about this because when he has this weird thing where he states emotions, but it doesn't feel connected, and it's uncomfortable. Like this one confessional where in this episode, he's talking about this fantasy he had of when his children got older and got married, that they would basically, that he would live close to them. Like they would all get houses across the street, and he had, this whole thing. And then he kind of starts to cry and then recollects himself, where you think this is going to be like a sentimental, emotional thing, like if he wanted to be that close with his kids, but it just doesn't feel like it matches.
Yeah.
So it's like he's portraying an emotion, but he doesn't authentically have the emotion.
Well, I think that's more of the narcissist not matching, because a sociopath, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, it's like he just doesn't match. Like it's like he's trying to give the audience, like what he thinks we want.
And he wants people to connect with him.
Yeah, and also I think to give him a pass. He wants us to be able to give him a pass as well. And that's just, it just doesn't happen. He just doesn't do it in a way where people actually believe him. So it's, for me, it's always odd, because I'm like, I tend to be a more naive person. I tend to be a more like optimistic, like believing what people say is the truth. But when he says stuff, it just makes me uncomfortable.
I want my children to love me, but I'm not going to put any effort into that ability. What? Like at all. From what I understand, from what you told me the last time we talked about the show, right? He puts zero, and I do mean goose egg, right here, nothing, big old nothing. He puts nothing into his kids, nothing. Like, nothing.
No, he doesn't. And it's been an ongoing, it's not just like it just happened all of a sudden or a couple of months. This is like a couple of years, because they keep referencing that these splits happened during COVID, and that was in 2020. Like it's been some years, man. And
does he even know the names of his kids?
There's some confessionals where he'll be like my son or my kid or something. It's really bad sometimes.
But they just name them Smurfs. He should just name his kids Smurfs. That one's Smelly. That one's Dottie. That one's.
He doesn't even have effort for that. He just is like, he groups them together, like those gossipers, those jerks, those. I don't want anything to do with those people. Like they're like
those are your people. You created them. You. Unless your wives decided they wanted other men to make the babies with them, and they just pretended with you. You, sir, are the father.
Correct. Yes. So
Maury Povich style. You, sir, are the father.
Yeah. So it's,
how many kids does he have?
How many kids does he have?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think there's like, I don't know. There's like, I think 15 somewhere in there.
And does so 15-ish, right? About. Now, is Utah have like what's that called when people have children and you got to take care of them but you're not? Child support, right? Child support. Right. So does Utah have child support?
So currently the show is not up to date, but currently Christine has filed for custody support, and I think one of it is part for child support, and then the other part is custody that she filed with the state of Utah. So they're going to be going to court over all that because she just has the one kid at home. That's
yeah, like she's a 17-year-old. I mean, why does she need court custody of the 17-year-old that he doesn't even like?
Well, she's 14, but she's very close, only a few years before she's 18. But I think it has, my opinion, not that I know anything, but my opinion on it is that she wants to get full custody so she can just do whatever truly needs and doesn't have to deal with them. So it's kind of like, this is what I think, but I don't know. Either it stays 50-50 and he has to start paying money, or she gets full custody.
But even full custody, you pay money. I mean, you still had a kid.
Yeah, but I think with her, she reminds me of my ex-sister-in-law, where it's like that deal for her to have truly full custody to do whatever she wants
is more important than money.
Is more important, yeah. Whereas I think a lot of people online are looking at like, oh, she's going after him for all his money and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think she cares.
Well, and she has her own money from the show, right?
Yeah. And David, who she's with, has his own very successful construction company. So he has his own money in his own right too. So, you know, I don't think it's an issue of money at all. I just think it's an issue of like, if she wants to put Truly in a school or have her see a doctor, or if she wants to take her on a trip out of the country or something, she doesn't have to run everything by him. She can just do what she wants. Or she can't be like called into court or deal with his bullshittery because he just wants to be a pain in the ass. Like that's what I more think is,
that makes sense,
really the thing going on. And then, you know, maybe, yeah, I don't know. There's only a few short years, so that's the thing that makes the most sense to me, more than like the other rumors or things that people are saying, like she's going after him for his money, or that she wants her new husband to adopt Truly. I just think all of that is a little far-fetched. I mean,
especially considering how, now was she on board with the Juliet, or what was her name? Jerry. Simba? Robyn! Her name is Robyn. Oh my God, I was gonna do it.
I was wondering, I'm like, I have no idea who the fuck you're talking about.
Where Robyn like stole her kids from their father and then forced her kids to be adopted by Cody.
Yeah, the whole art thing.
The art thing.
Remember I was telling you that Robyn had 2 pictures taken to the artist?
Oh yeah, and they like painted a picture of like gloriousness of whatever. But like, was Christine one of the people that thought that was cool, or was she like, this guy's a fucking twat? Like, how did she feel about the ripping it away from her father, ripping the boys away from their father, and making Cody adopt these children?
I think
who were not children, by the way, at 8 years old, but whatever, we'll skip that part.
Well, what I think is that they just believed at face value what Robyn had told them, and like the story that they told him about why it needed to happen. What we get on the show is an inference that Robyn's first husband, that their marriage dissolved because of, you know, some domestic issues, and some inference on that in the marriage and inference in that with the kids. They don't outrightly say it, but they definitely say things around it.
So wait, she went from one abusive man to another, is what she's trying to say. She basically delicately tiptoed around, I was with an abusive man, so he loses his kids, and I'm going to this other abusive man so he can gain his kids.
Oh, I gotta tell you something in the history of the show that will help elaborate this picture. So
please do, because I need elaboration.
So this is back in the early years. Robyn is married to Cody. They've been in Vegas for just a little bit, and they were having, church at the house, right? And Cody always preaches something out of the Bible, and then it was Robyn's turn to like share something. So her thing she's sharing is like deep in like, the purity movement stuff.
Oh God.
And yeah, reminds me of that heart sketch that used to always be done about
you
like,
rip pieces of the heart away, and then when you get married, you have nothing left to give. Oh God.
yeah. So she did something along those lines, and she had this like locket thing in the shape of a heart, and was saying like that was her purity, and that she gave it away to the wrong man, and she made this mistakes and got pregnant. By the way, the result of that pregnancy is her firstborn. She's saying this in front of the family to like everybody. And then says like,
was she married to the man when they conceived?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I just mean in the world of them, she didn't make a mistake. She didn't like do anything wrong. So she married a man that was a mistake, but I mean, 50% of the population does, because 50% of the population gets a divorce. So,
yeah.
I mean,
so maybe it was that situation of like made the mistake, got pregnant, and then that's the reason they got married. That would make sense. But it's like this huge thing in the show of like she flat out said that in front of everybody, and then she took the heart locket that she first said she just threw away and gave it to that guy when she got pregnant, and then now she has what's left of her purity and has to give that to like the true one she was supposed to be with. And it's so bad. She like hands the locket to Cody in front of everybody. It's so uncomfortable.
Did
like,
she at least rip it in half so it was only a piece of it?
No, but it made me so uncomfortable because it put me right back in those like youth group days of seeing all that stuff and that like icky like purity movement stuff. And it made me so uncomfortable.
Why were we a part of that? Why were we in a cult? It's fine. It's fine. So she ripped the little locket heart in half because it was broken, and you can't give it. It was already, she already fucked another dude. So she can't give him the whole heart, but she did because reasons. She should have just ripped it in half. I mean, that would have been hilarious. Like, this was my purity, and I ripped it to shreds. I destroyed it. I made myself useless because
that would have been an awesome moment.
My entire worth and my entire value is in this picture of a locket of my vagina. That is my only value as a person. And I am ripping it apart because I ripped it apart by giving it to some other dude. And here's what's left of my value as a woman. Oy.
And like, and the kids had all these age ranges. Like the youngest ones are probably like 6, 7, 8, all the way up to like teenagers. You know what I mean? And you're saying this in like this mixed age group, and it's completely inappropriate for the younger
children,
kids.
Boys and girls, women's only value is in their legs. Fucking that's it. That's all it is. There you go. There you go. And make sure you make a big deal about it when you give it to the wrong person, but you don't know it that time because hindsight is 50-50. So you think you're in the right person. You're totally going at it because, whatever. Give the rest of her broken heart to some other dude, but why? Why, if you're not valuable, would you bother? There you go. There's my rant.
There's your rant. And saying that about her son too, like that was a mistake in front of everybody. And
son, you are a product of my invaluability. Is that a word? I don't think that was a word.
I don't think it's a word, but it's pretty much what she said.
Yep.
And pretty awful. And just like, pretty awful. Yeah. So that's the kind of some past things of things she's done and said and participated in what caused problems in the family. Because on another level too, that whole incident is so awkward because you're saying that in front of all the other wives when they already have rules in place of like not intense PDA in front of the wives. You kind of dress modest, like you really kind of keep your sex life to yourself. And then you're saying this in front of everybody. Like you're saying this in front of the other wives. You know what I mean? Like it's just uncomfortable on so many levels and so just it's just icky and uncomfortable, and I don't like it, and it's weird and gross, and it just speaks to things that Robyn has done over the years of how she wants people to see her and what she actually does behind closed doors, like
It
what
speaks
always
to the
went on.
indoctrination she is in the religion. Because if that's whether or not she feels, if she doesn't actually feel that's true, that's even worse. That you're indoctrinated in a religion that you don't believe in, and then you're toting it. Why? I mean, I get why, because we were in it, but at the same time, you're peddling it. But
But
if
I
you
think
do believe it,
there's people I saw that I went to church with that I didn't consider them very devout, but they were very opportunistic and how they
yes,
place themselves in church
that's
and
where I was
how.
going.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I just
No,
like
you're fine.
we knew people like this who
Yeah,
I wouldn't say they fully believed it, but they know how to put themselves in the right places to be valuable in that system.
right.
I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say these things
They
sometimes.
they knew the system well, and they knew, like,
I guess in the show, I don't mind talking about like my own like religious history and all this stuff because I feel like sometimes when I watch a show, it might trigger me a bit of like
yeah,
I shouldn't relate and I shouldn't understand some of these things, but I do.
they do.
And but we're also, I feel like sometimes I'm also in this category of people where you can't say too much about like you or Nicole or how you're treated because it's not, I wasn't Mormon, I wasn't some fun and like fundamental Mormonism or some like mother god cult or something like that. I was in something that's like much more widely accepted. So I feel like sometimes it's harder to talk about it where people would understand how inappropriate things can be and being treated poorly, like how that can exist. So I don't know.
Right.
Sometimes I channel that through the show when I see things where I'm like very uncomfortable with what's happening.
Yeah.
So
Nope, I get you.
you're like,
I
that
get
has a religious tie. That has a cultural religious tie to how they're behaving and
Mhm.
how they interact with each other and what they feel is right and wrong. But yeah, so oh my God. Okay, let me look here. I don't know. I'm just looking at my notes again.
That's fine.
Just to go back because I kind of lost my place.
Talking about cults will do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's other stuff in here, but it's not, to me, it's not even worth talking about because the show was kind of a nothing burger except for like the last part of it, which I think is the whole thing I want to talk about anyways. So we get more commentary from Cody, we get a little bit from Mary, who fucking cares, not me. But the big thing is, towards the end of this episode, is we get the sit down between Janelle and Cody. They go to this
Janelle.
Josephine's restaurant, and
Janelle?
yeah, the one that's like you.
Oh, okay.
I know. And so the main reason she wants to have this conversation is because she's tied to this property they own in Flagstaff,
That's
and
right.
she wants him to like either
Buy her
buy
out.
her out or sell the property and get her portion of the money, like whatever has to be done. She kind of wants it to be finalized, and that's her point of talking to him. But in this conversation, he's like completely trying to derail her, throw her off by like trying to circle back into the relationship, like reconciling the relationship. And it's really funny because every time he brings it up, she finds different ways to say like they're broken up, like they're not together anymore. And I love this part that she goes into where she says, you're an awesome person. And did I write this part down? Because I thought it was so hilarious and it kind of reminded me of you a little bit. I don't know if I did. One second. I'm going to scroll up on my notes. Oh, shoot. I didn't write it down exactly how she said it, I don't think. But basically, she complimented. She's like, oh, yeah, that you're this awesome person, but like, she said, something to the effect of like that he's this awesome, great person, right? And she said, you have somewhat of a hook in me, like to draw her back in. But she says, there's nothing here anymore. And even later in the conversation, he's like trying to circle back to about getting back together. And she's like, only if we were completely different people. Like we don't exist in the same universe. just this like very grandiose language of trying to get it across to him that they're not together anymore. And in a very concise way where she can be like, if we were different people, if we lived in a different universe, but I want my money out of this property. Like she keeps coming back to it. And they're just like sitting there having this dinner. He's trying to manipulate her and get her to do something that she doesn't want to do or get her to talk about. And it so reminds me of you, of no matter how many times someone's going to try and circle back and get you to go off topic, if you're focused and this is the mission, the goal of why you're doing this thing, nothing is going to distract you from it. No matter, not even the most talented narcissist, not to say that he's a talented narcissist, but he's using everything he has. And it's kind of this fault to Cody where if something works on one wife, he tries it on all of them, and he doesn't act like in real time take in effect that person's differences to let the manipulation work better. So he's just like throwing everything at her, and she's kind of like, okay, so about the property.
Now, I do remember this from the last conversation. He no longer, so you need 3 wives for your own planet. His planet's been blown up because he lost all but 1 wife. So now he goes to heaven and God's like, dude, you're with the other lonely men because you don't have 3 wives for your own planet. And I think since he lost wives, he should go to hell, because men who lose their wives are a whole different problem than men who have their wives, 3 or more wives for their planet. That's just way worse. I think he's trying, because I was like, at that point, why wouldn't you just get another wife to get your planet back? But I think it's because he's going to hell, and he knows it because he lost his 3 of his original wives. So he needs to gain 2 of those wives back to gain his planet back. Otherwise, he's just going to hell because there's 3 more wives. Who the fuck cares? You lost your original 3. You don't get no planet no more. That's my thought.
Yeah, it's like, so with Jess, so this is the thing, is Mary is the only one. You only have 1 wife who's gone through the proper channels to get the proper release from the spiritual marriage. So he technically still has 3 wives.
But how often do you have to sleep with them to make them your wife, according to the Mormons? Is it like a year and a day thing, like with the coats? Like if you don't sleep with her for a year and a day, are you officially not married anymore? I mean,
that's hilarious.
At what point have you not, consummated? Is the lack of consummation determining your marriage ability?
Well, and there's this thing on the show where it's like, for years people thought like Janelle and Cody really didn't have that much of a sex life, but then there's been things said on the show where it was like quite the opposite. And she's such this independent person. I think it makes sense in a way where it's like, what else did she really need from him? And even in this conversation they have, the look on his face where he's like trying to woo her, it's like she has a good time in the sack. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have
women are good. I'm gonna tell you, independent women know what they want, know how to get what they want, and enjoy themselves. So
yeah, so I think
you want a good
like,
time. Independent women.
That was his only interest in that, and because maybe another point of being able to manipulate her. But I kind of thought it was a funny moment how he looked at her, kind of. And the thing is like in this situation, she's the one turning him down, and I think it's more than just his tactics not working. I think there's something about it that drives him crazy about her. Like the more she rejects him, the more he's not good. Get her off his mind. You know what I mean?
Not good. And she found that there's lots out there.
It's just,
or just one. You don't even need a lot. You just have to have a few.
Driving him insane. And I think there's something there sexually where it is driving him insane that she's the one rejecting him. And
maybe she was tied to the wall. Maybe he was tied to the wall.
And then like Janelle saying, like,
keep on going.
I don't think she ever was really going to do the release, like the spiritual divorce or any of that path. But because he's so relentless in how he's behaving, and not getting the clue. And she heard that Mary, the other wife, got a spiritual release. She has a confessional where she's like, oh, we haven't been part of that church for a long time. So I didn't even think that's how I could like even have a connection to that church to even do it. But she's like, now that Mary did it, like, I think I could do the same thing she did.
Oh, nice.
Janelle still like values that belief. Like she still says things that those beliefs are still resonate with her, So she has been conflicted about what she should do. Because I think in her mind, she's out, she's done, but she still wants to participate in the faith. So just his relentlessness of it has pushed her into doing the thing that is going to not just like afterlife bump him down, but like how the men in the church see him bump him down.
He's going to hell. He's going to hell. I'm very excited. I don't know if that's how it works, but in my mind, that's how I've created it to work. This is why I have not been created as God was, because if I was in charge, I would have a whole list of things that I didn't tell them were punishments, and it's hilarious.
You would be terrible.
I would be amazing.
I'm glad you're not in charge of anything.
I would be phenomenal. I would be the best because reincarnation definitely you get I'd be the best.
You'd be the best. It would be interesting for you to know more about Mormonism. That would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that though. But you have studied Mormonism, so you could just simply tell me. So I think that when you get your 3 or more wives, you get your planet, and then your planet, when you lose those wives, you go back down to 1 or none. You lose your clout. And then if you go below 3, you don't even get to go down to generic heaven with all the other men. You go to hell because not only you lost the one thing that gave you importance, and you couldn't even hold on to a bunch of property. Like you couldn't hold on to the thing that all they are value of is what they give you in bed. That's all they are good for. And you couldn't hold on to that. So you need to go to hell and think about what you've done and figure it out. And you better get those women back. Because if you don't, you are stuck there. And that's just how that is.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I think in the eyes of Mormonism, as a man, I think the bar is real low.
But it shouldn't be, because then those men are going to value those properties a lot more and give that property a lot more attention and affection and make sure that property is taken care of like they're supposed to, and not just let it do what it wants to do, but they will make sure the shingles work on that property. They'll make sure that the foundation is bolted in properly, and they got a front door and their back door is properly cared for, and that they're all oiled and clean and their hair's all smooth, and they check their teeth. I mean, you got to do a lot of things when you got to take care of your property, and they're just not doing that because they think they don't have to, but that's property and they're responsible for it, and they're losing the responsibility. So they're losing their women, and they should have punishments for losing their women.
Wow. You are going to be the next prophet of this little sect of fundamentalists.
I think I should actually be graduated to deity. Thank you.
Oh, graduated to deity. Okay.
I would like to declare myself.
Oh my goodness.
The god of multi-wife-ism. What's that called again?
Multi-wife-ism, yeah. That's it.
I found the name of your episode, multi-wife-ism.
Yeah. Okay, let me write that down. That's a good one. Multi-wife-ism.
Because I mean, seriously, the amount of pressure they put on these women and how they have to perform and do all these things, and they're just treated and this is my view, of course, by property. Why is there not more emphasis put on the men who are responsible for these women, and more spiritual punishment for these men not caring for these women, since if you were to take away the word man and woman and just read out what they're talking about, and if you replace woman with camel and just leave man in there, I mean, a lot of dudes are fucking camels. I get that. But
whoa. You're
but
some different territory.
aside from the fucking the camel part, you will see everything else fits really well with a property, and they're treating these women like property, and what they're doing, but they're not taking care of it. And there should be, I mean, these are not my beliefs. They're not.
There should be
but
a wife inspector, right? That is constantly checking on these family, and he has to inspect the wife's like cattle.
He has to inspect her teeth and her back door and her front door. I mean, there's a whole list of things he could expect. So I mean, is he
special job?
I mean, he's and seriously, are you unless you're a camel and you just get probed without permission, which that's essentially what's happening. It just I should be the god of this.
You need to hire wife inspectors. No, not hire, but you need to
hire. That's what a deacon's for. There are many deacons that have been that maybe they're deacons and they chose to live a life of not being married in order to ensure that women were properly cared for as wife inspectors. And that it's the equivalent of a monk, right? But they don't really take any vows. They just kind of, I mean, they do take a vow to the church, but they got to be an inspector. So they can't really take a vow of chastity because, I mean, how else are you going to inspect? They just,
oh my God. Wow. I was thinking more of the more pure side of like,
oh, I'm never on the pure side. I am not on the up and up. I am absolutely down and dirty. And
like just interview them, talk to them, see their finances, see how, I mean, there's stuff they can do, but you're like, oh, they need to fully.
You need to inspect the camels now.
Oh my God. Wow. This is a weird, a really weird religion you're forming here. You're like, I'm just improving the weirdness that already exists.
I'm just making their show last another 9 seasons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that I would watch the show with camel inspectors, but I mean, somebody will. Why not?
I would.
Josh's reaction totally would.
I love Josh's reaction to this show so much. Like, so many times I have to pause it because he just can't. He's like so loud and reacting to what's going on. He's like, he can't believe all the things that Cody are saying. And I keep telling him, like, can I at least record your reaction if you don't want to be on the podcast? Can I at least just like do a reaction video or something? He's like, no, I don't want to be on it. But I might hide a camera and do it anyways.
Oh, that's not fair.
No, it's totally fair.
Oh, that's right. You're married to him and he's your camel. I don't think that's right.
He's my camel. Oh my God. I just want to record it because it's hilarious. And maybe I can't post it because, if he doesn't want to be
published. But it's for you.
Fine. But I could show you. I could be showing you.
You could show me. You'd be okay with that. Yes. He would totally be okay with me seeing his reaction. Yes.
Just Josh losing his mind over some of this stupid shit on the show is great. Yeah. I don't know. It's just great. I love it. And I really want to record it so bad because it's so funny. But yeah. But I mean, this family drives me crazy. This show drives me crazy. But you keep watching because it's kind of like a car accident, like you said. But then sometimes you do get some authentic moments. But sometimes I just watch these people of like, I get triggered in things where it's like, oh, I hate that this connects to like my own religious trauma or whatever, or my own history. And now, like that a lot of the kids are older and stuff, sometimes it's so cringy. It's like, oh, that was not a good move. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you feel really bad for the kids, and sometimes it's uh like you try to not see that this is like a real family. Like you try to see that it's not like real people because it's just like a show or whatever. But sometimes it gets to you where like this is a real family, and some of this stuff is really, really fucked up.
Yeah, this isn't the Cosby Show. This isn't like a fake. Or what was the one with Will Smith? You know,
Fresh Prince.
yeah, this isn't like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. These are actual people being actually terrible to their 15 children.
Yeah. It's
They
really
bred
bad.
15 children and were then terrible to them. And at first they were terrible to them for free. At least now they're terrible to them for money. But for like the first 8 years of their lives, it was like free terribleness. And that's almost worse.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy. There's been some fun things throughout the years of seeing them do, and like it did start off in a very like wholesome place, which I think is when Josh and I watched it, because it's like curiosity about polygamy, but they're also seeing them do things as a family, and the little kids were like so cute, and it was just kind of an intriguing show to watch. But then it just gradually became more and more like, well, actually, it kind of gradually went downhill, but then really it was like right before they moved to Flagstaff, like the year before, you started to see like this persona of the dad of Cody.
Oh, cracks in the mask.
Yeah, it really, really started to happen. And what I look at it is, I think in polygamy, it's like a young person's game. Like when you're a young man and you're having all these kids and stuff, it's like you're doing the religion and it's you're doing the thing. But then as you get older,
It's hard to keep up with that many women.
Well, not just that, but I think just the energy of like raising kids and having a big family. Like what I look at, it's like, you hit your 30s, you got some energy, you hit some 40s, it's kind of starting to dip. But you're talking about people in their 50s that have teenagers, and you know what I mean? Like you want to retire and not have to have that pace of life. Like when I looked at him, I just thought, you're the fallacy in this. Just like when I see people who have like a lot of kids, but the kids range from, they might have a baby or toddlers and then they have kids in college. Like it, in my opinion, now I could be completely wrong with this, but what I look at it is like you're in the parenting phase for a long time, but then you want to go into the more relaxed, like grandparent age, whatever, but you're still raising your own children into your 50s.
Your friend, she had one 20 years ago?
Yeah.
So she has a 20-year-old, and then her newest baby is less than a year old?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. So I know what you mean. I mean, you have somebody that's about to have grandchildren, and you're going to be raising your grandchildren and your children together.
And
That's
to
got
me,
to be
when
hard.
I look at it, it just looks so exhausting. And so
Yeah.
like maybe you can do it now, but you have another 18 years ahead of you of in your home parenting, not to mention like kids getting married and having their own kids and their own lives, and how much your attention gets divided even more and more. It's just, to me, like I just see it as such an exhausting thing. And I think in the case of the show, that was never something any of them were thinking about, of like, looking at your life in advance of like, what are your best years that you can give, and I think, especially when Cody would make these statements to his family, is like his family was like an obstacle to his goals, and he would make statements like that. And I just thought, you've hit that midlife crisis, you've hit that point where you can't invest the same energy anymore. But not to say like I give him a pass on things, but I see him say things sometimes and I'm like, none of you are recognizing the fact that you all are getting into your 50s and still have children to raise. And you've been raising kids. I mean, I think his first wife and him got married when they were 19 and 20, 19 and 21.
Oh,
somewhere in there.
Jesus.
So there's been kids and this kind of fast-paced life of kids and the chaos of all that, for 20 plus 30 years, whatever. And I just feel like they never recognize that you can only do that for so long. You only want to do that for so long.
Right.
And I feel like he hit that where it wasn't just the kids, like he was tired of being a parent, but it was like all the rigmarole of multiple wives and all that. And especially his style of like always pitting them against each other and like always keeping these different plates spinning of all the stuff he had to do. You're just tired and you want to simplify your life. And it's pretty shitty how he went about doing it. But it's like, I don't know. I just look at it kind of a little bit different where it's like, I don't know. And I guess just because I have a friend that has a lot of kids, it's like, I wonder if they ever think about, like, if they ever look at their life 20 years in the future and say, when is enough, or not even when enough is enough, because anybody can have as many kids as they want. But I think it's like, do you ever look at your life and say, can I give my best effort and energy to these kids I'm going to have?
I think for your friend, they absolutely think of that. There's other circumstances, but I absolutely think they do. I think this dude just thought to himself, sweet, I get 5 women. And then he's now 50. He's like, fuck, I have 5 women. And I saw an interesting statistic, and whether whether or not it's part of this conversation, I don't know, but I'm going to bring it up because it sounds like it would be that, men and women divorce is 50%. Women and women divorce is 86%. Men and men divorce, 14%.
Wow, really?
Yep. I may be a bit off. The men may have been a little bit higher, but they weren't that much higher if they were. And then the caption, of course, it's women's fault. I mean, it was a man posting it, but it was still a true statistic. And I thought to myself, wow. But I mean, who knows? But I just think that it's just interesting. And I keep hearing things like, it's not the woman. It's the man causing these problems. But then I hear a statistic like men and men divorce rate is stupidly low, and women divorce rate is stupidly high, and men and women divorce rate is in the middle. And I'm like, what? I don't know what that shows. I just brought it up.
Well, what is it called? I think it's called polyandry, where it's one woman and multiple husbands. Is that polyandry, I think?
Mm-hmm.
How would that fare in the success rates as far as multiple men in the marriage?
I don't know. I do know that in certain groups of paganism, that's actually really common for one woman, multiple men. And whether or not they stay together or not, I don't know. I don't have enough details about it. I just know in that religious group or belief group structure, I do hear of it happening quite often. The woman and several men, generally 2 men, 3 men. I mean, any more than that just seems kind of difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
I mean, more than one seems difficult.
I couldn't do more than one. I'll tell you that much.
Right. I'm thinking to myself, I think one is good. One would be good. Just whatever. But it just seems, I don't know. I think
I'm waiting for you to kind of dig yourself out of this, where you're going to go.
There's nowhere to dig. I didn't dig myself in a hole. I just one woman, multiple men. Why not? I mean, some people like it. Some people like one man, multiple women. That sounds terrible, but there you go. Some people just like giant groups.
What if this whole time, like, all these women are leaving And then Cody and Robyn get divorced. And then the real truth comes out. And Cody like introduces his partner. We find out this whole time he was just repressing. Repressing.
Well, he's still going to go to hell because he treated these women terribly. And I am the god now. And just for abusing people just because he wasn't getting the way he wants, he should go to hell.
Wow. I didn't see hell coming back up in the conversation where we mentioned Cody going gay. That was weird.
Well, I'm God now. I'm the God of Mormons now.
Wow. He could. I don't think he ever will, though. I think even if he, at the very minimal, is bi.
Do you see him? Do you see him having those tendencies? Like, do you see him be like, oh, you like to take it or give it, whatever. You like men.
There is so much about the show that it's so hard to pack it into these episodes, like to tell you. But I will tell you that there's episodes where his high school buddies thought that he was gay or very feminine acting. Cody was on the wrestling team. He was like,
there are lots of wrestlers and they're not gay.
Yeah, but they don't all wear sparkly jeans and want to grow their hair long and
we need some
hair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that any of that makes you gay. That's not what I'm saying at all, that any of that makes you that way. I'm just saying there are people in his past who thought that he was and saw that he did feminine-like things.
And then all of a sudden he has 5 wives to prove that he's not.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Not just one. I'm going to marry a bunch now, and then I'm going to go take my wives back to my hometown, trot them around so no one can question my...
They have... What's a conga line? They have a conga line.
I mean, that was pretty much one episode where he was like showing all his friends that I'm definitely not gay. I bang all of these women, and you can't say anything.
And all of them are like, he's definitely not gay. And every one of them are like, dear God, we have a side piece, and that's the only way we get through this.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I still like to see the Mormon conga line.
It's just like alternate universe things to think about. Like, what if some of these people's lives were like so extremely different? But I also look at him and Robyn where it's like the same thing's going to happen to her that's happened with the breakdown of all the other relationships, but because she's still on the end, she can't see that. She can't see that there's no place for anybody else in a narcissist's mind but the narcissist. And
well, he's already breaking down because he was trying to get Squirrel Girl back in. What was her name again? Carmen, Squirrel, Feet.
I don't know.
Not the one marrying dinosaur dude. Not the first wife.
Oh,
the second
Janelle.
Janelle. So he was already trying to get Janelle back when at first he didn't give a shit about the 5 wives. He's like, or 4 wives. He's like, peace out, yo. I don't need my planet anymore. I'm good. And he just was like all about the one. And now all of a sudden he cares about one of the others that's not the one. Like you were telling me that like he totally like blacklisted all the other women and like was all about this one. And now all of a sudden he's like, oh, hey, baby, come back. Baby, come back.
Yeah.
I would do anything for love.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's really rich is like she not only was she the one working for, you know, supporting the family and everything before the show and stuff, but she's the one that's there's certain things that she reminds me of you. She's very frugal, very intentional with her money, doesn't like to see her money wasted, makes very practical decisions. So there's some of these things where he's like accusing her of just wanting to spend his money or not being good with money, or that she's just coming after him for his money. And these insinuations are just so hilarious because it's like
she has her own money.
She values every dollar. Like she's lived well beneath her means more than any of the other wives. She lived in like when her rental was like going up for sale, she moved into like what people joke about, or actually could be college dorm apartments. I don't know. But they're like, remind me of apartments of like the first apartment I moved into when I got married. Like,
oh, okay. Like seriously.
She's on TV. Let's just put that there. She was living in a place like that, and she's on fucking TV, and that's where she was living. So these things are really rich coming from him when it's like, if anybody saves $1, if anybody values money, it's Janelle. You know what I mean? And it's
And she
like,
has her own money from the show. She doesn't need if she's an independent woman, truly, like you're saying, she doesn't need him for a damn thing. You
no.
choose to want somebody or not at all. That's what it is to be independent.
Yeah, she just made, like, her biggest thing is that she valued this man, trusted him, and put her money in to these properties, and the house that is for Robyn. Like, that's the thing that she looks at as, like, she sees like, wow, why did I do this? This was so stupid. Is that she just believed him and what he said, and she invested her money in it, and she's kind of stuck where she would have more money, but she doesn't because it's locked up in the property. It's locked up in, and then
don't think it's about money, because if she's as frugal and she has her own money and the show is done as well, she has money to spare. I think this is more about proving a point of I think this is more about sticking it to him. Because this is something I would do, right? I don't need the money. I don't need these things. But you know what? I need you to understand. You can't control me. I need you to understand I know your games. I need you to understand that I know you're a worthless piece of trash. And that is something I would do and I would hold on to, like you were saying, that if I have decided on something, nothing in the entire world is going to sway me from doing that said thing, including, in her case, get her name off of this property. And she's going to do it in the way that she knows will hurt him the most mentally and emotionally, because he doesn't need the money either. He does not need the money. This show has given them money from what I understand. It's what the property's a couple $1,000. Let's say it's a $70,000 property in the middle of nowhere. It's probably not even that much. She probably has 40. She did it primary, so maybe she did of the 70, or let's say even $150,000 property. So let's say she did most of it. So maybe she put in $100,000. She makes that easily per episode, right? Easily.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know how much, but I mean, I'm sure now.
Easily. She does not need the money. It is not about the money. It is about parading his ass around. So he does. It is about doing to him in 5 seconds what he did to her for 20 years, and her doing it better and more publicly and more humiliatingly, and just utterly destroying him in a single transaction. That's what it's about.
And a manipulation that he can't win. Like, I think, yeah, you're right. And because all of this is on the show, and she's approaching it in a way where he's actually having these conversations on the show rather than otherwise where he's trying to have all these more specific things off the show. For some reason, it's like this dance is happening and he's talking about all of this stuff on the show. I'm not sure. I see what you're saying where it's like the money isn't an issue. I just wonder, sometimes they talk about money being tight and they don't have money and stuff. So it's like, do you have the money? Where did all your money go? But so I see that part of it where it's like, is it really that she doesn't have any money? But I could also see Janelle doing this where it's like, I don't know. It's a weird thing because they talk like they don't have money. But then on the other hand, it's like, I feel like her position is she let go of so much and didn't care about so much for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the one thing she's not going to be flexible on.
She's claiming back.
And then towards the end of this conversation, kind of almost at the very end of it, she tells him that she spoke with the lawyer that they originally talked to about basically reconfiguring the property or dividing it up a different way. And that when she spoke with the lawyer said he would be more comfortable if Cody came in with her. I think maybe because that might have been his original client or whatever. in regards to the property. But anyways, when she told him that she talked to the lawyer, it kind of threw him off, where he's like, whoa, 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 like you went all the way to what did he say? Something about you went all the way to the end of the conversation, or like, what did you do? Like, you could tell he didn't really have he kind of had a response, but not really, but he was really thrown off that she said that. Cause I think in his mind, the last thing he imagined Janelle would do was to get a lawyer involved. Like, he did not think she would do that at all. And in his confessional outside of this conversation, he's like very antagonistic and very like, oh, well, I can get a lawyer. She's going to a lawyer and she just wants to fuck me over. So I'm going to get a lawyer to fuck her over. And it was just like way too intense for what it was, where it's like, she saw a lawyer you dealt with. She saw someone who's familiar with the situation. She didn't go get some like, I don't know, it's Flagstaff. So she didn't get the highest paying lawyer in Flagstaff. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. I also think that if I were trying to be a show that basically catered to people like us, right? I wouldn't go around saying I have money either, because now they got rich off a show and they become separated. They're not the working class anymore. They're kind of above us. So it's like we're watching a train wreck of somebody who's no longer working class. And I would, if I were in that position, I would hide the fact. I'd be like, oh no, I need money. And I would play that role while hoarding my money in the bank. Because it's the projection. It's the, we're a family unit. It's kind of that projection that they have, that they're not
Right.
the wealthy. And when they are, I mean, there is no way for 8 years they're letting people in their home and not making money off of it. That just seems foolish. And where Cody is foolish and Robyn is foolish, not for a second do I think that other lady who I have Feet, I've named her Feet now.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why. Who she is financially driven. She's well versed in the world of economics, right? Even if she was under this abusive relationship, she still understood understood the world of money. And so I think she absolutely would have made an appropriate contract and been like, you can fool the rest of them. I want $1 million per episode, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know how it works, but I understand the concept.
Right. Yeah. No, I think, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of divided on both. Like, I guess maybe I want to believe what's portrayed in the show. Like, maybe it's more relatable to believe that it's a struggle and that this money, she desperately needs this money. So I do buy into that. But I also see what you're saying as well. Because if I look at like Cody and Robyn's situation off of the show, they just bought a $2 million home in Flagstaff.
Right.
And then Janelle bought this, some kind of, it was like a flower farm or some kind of farm out in North Carolina with her daughter and son-in-law. But I haven't done research into that to see like, how much did they buy that for? What kind of business did they buy? Like all of that, I don't know. But yeah, I think what you're saying is really interesting though. And if she is at all like you, would definitely have money saved.
And
wouldn't be
she wouldn't
living
need money, because even if she didn't, she could make her own. She would go to work, make her own fucking money, and screw them. I think it's not about money. It is the easiest way to stab him in the soul.
Yeah.
He has no heart. That's why I went for the soul. That dude has no fucking heart.
And Janelle has this interesting part of her personality, and I've heard other podcasters comment on it, where she says mean, cutting things, but in a way where people don't perceive them as being mean.
Yeah, she's a lot like I am.
She can distance herself from stuff. She has a way about her, and I just wonder how aware she is of that.
Oh, I'm sure she's self-aware. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because Cody does kind of look like a crazy person sometimes, where he like called her like the Teflon Queen and says mean things about her because the fan base really likes her, right? So they kind of just look at him like he's this crazy person. But I guess maybe I just have a lot of unpopular opinions, but sometimes I hear Cody say stuff and I'm like, he's pretty right about that situation, even though you don't want to say it because he's a terrible person. And then when he says stuff about Mary and divorcing her and stuff and how terrible she was, I mean, the book they wrote definitely shows Mary was a bitch. So it's like sometimes
that's the first wife, right? That was the one you actually don't like, that I say that she probably wasn't, but whatever.
Right. The one I say I don't like, but the one you're like, why are we blaming her when he's the terrible one? And but it's like he does say things where it's like it resonates with what was written, with how their whole situation started with. But it's like you never want to agree with the narcissist and be like, oh yeah, they're right.
Right. But sometimes narcissists are, I mean, a clock is always correct twice a day, right?
Yeah. Well, just because they don't see value, or it's not important to them, doesn't mean they can't see things that are true.
Right.
But it does hurt the soul a little bit when you're like, oh yeah, he is kind of right about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. This property they bought. It's like, oh, I was telling you about it. It's $2 million. It's like this huge property with like more places for people to stay and everything. It's real wild. Where it's like no one's staying there. None of your kids are going to come visit you.
Nobody wants you. It's really about. Remember how he went and did a big old tour in his hometown with his 5 wives and paraded them? Guess what he's doing? He's now parading his money that he doesn't have. He does have money.
But he's always lived like, I think the common thing with Cody is he's always lived like for people to see that he's doing better than he's actually doing.
So maybe he overspent in his $2 million home.
Oh, for sure. Like in his mind, I think spent in a way where it's like, oh, we're hot shit and we're going to be this way for a while. So he's anticipating money coming in that there's no guarantee that it will be that.
And then all of his wives are leaving him. So all of the women that have made the show are gone. So he's going to have a sister wife. His sister wife. So now he's going to hell. Now he has a sister wife. And eventually she's going to leave him too. He needs to get on the ball and just start making other wives.
I mean, Robyn is so codependent on him, so I don't know. It just reminds me of like that ex-sister-in-law so much, of like just not seeing a situation for what it is until it's too late. But with that, I feel like Robyn is in the perfect place of, if she did divorce, if she really was seeing the situation for what it is and did divorce him, this would be a key time to do it when the show is paying them more money, when they just purchased this house and they've done all this stuff. Like, this would be a key time for her to do it, because she still has 2 kids under 18. So she could get alimony, she could get child support, she would get part of the businesses. She would be set up very well.
She would. And then he can get a show, Road Warrior, where he just does exactly what he was talking about doing, just kind of wandering the country as a crazy person.
Yeah. And he does stuff that he feels like he's so fucking smart, and he's such an idiot. Like this one thing I saw where like the house they bought. So they bought it and then they put it in a trust. And I think he thinks a lot like my brother, where it's like the court can't find the paper trail, like because of the situation with Christine, right? So of how the court's going to decide like custody, the child support payments, right? So if he can hide things and not have it be part of.
He doesn't know he's on a show, right? That's aired.
I just think
publicly
some people think the court
for
is so
everyone to
dumb
see.
and can't find the path of the trail or see where you put your money. Like it's just annoying to me that some people are so stupid. And so like just the lazy way of, I don't know. It just annoyed me when I saw that, where it's like, okay, it was in your name for like a couple hours and then you put it in a trust and you think this trust is going to shelter it.
You know,
It's
you have
just
to name the trust, right? You have to who owns the trust? I mean, it
Yeah.
it in the end, none of that matters because he's on a television show.
Yeah.
Any lawyer, a quick Google search will fix the problem of knowing where the trust belongs.
Right, exactly. So it's just
Just saying.
stupid shit like that he does. Like just stuff where it's like you don't have a good lawyer. If a lawyer is telling you to do this stuff, you don't have a good lawyer, period. And then also it just reminds me of stupid criminal stuff that,
Things that I would give people to give good ideas. You know, it'd be a really good idea. A really good idea. Put your house in a trust. Go through a bunch of work. Put your house in a trust. Nobody can touch it. And then when he gets divorced and sued, then he has to pay a bunch of money to untrust it. Then he has to pay a bunch more money to untax it. Then he has to pay a bunch more money. Oh, it's just a big old pile of mess. And I am happy. And
I want to see if I can find this picture and screenshot it just so you can see. The listing on like the Zillow listing, I think isn't up anymore, but people have taken like a million screenshots of their house. Where's the bedroom one? This is the living room. Shoot. Well, I wanted to show you that they bought all this artwork that's all over the place. Ooh, I think you can see it in this picture. Oh God, I don't even know where my phone is anymore. Anyways, their living room, they have like all these pictures, and then people went and looked up the images, and it's this one guy's artwork. And some of the paintings are like 8,000. They're like anywhere between 6 and like 12,000 per art.
wow.
And they have them all over the place. They probably have at least 20 of these.
Was he
all
like a
over their
personal
house.
friend of them, or that's why
No, and I think there's an episode where all the paintings were blurred because apparently the artist got really mad that the art was shown on the show. Yeah, so I don't think a friend. I think they just bought a bunch of this guy's artwork.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, but yeah, no, it was kind of like just, people talk about, oh, they're hiding their money in the artwork. They're buying stuff to, hide their money and stuff or whatever. Yeah. But it's like a crazy amount of money in the artwork and just like decor and stuff around their house. Like people were doing like reverse image lookups of stuff. And it's like, this thing is 10 grand, that thing's 10 grand. Just the most ugliest things you could buy. I'm very sad that I haven't figured this out because I would totally love to show you these pictures because they're amazing. Nope, don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. It's annoying. Activities. Activities, what's that mean? Polls. No, thank you. Okay. Never mind. But anyways, yeah. It's just tons of stuff that's like, and when I watch it too, it's like I've heard that expensive things can still be ugly things, but I didn't really think that way. I just thought like more expensive things were like classier things, but you could buy some really ugly shit for a lot of money.
Yeah, you can.
Just astounded by it. I think sometimes Josh and I will play this game where we say if money was no object or we won the lottery or we had like millions and millions of dollars, where would you live? What kind of stuff would you have? And I look at their house and I think I would have none of that shit.
Me and my brother play that game.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, that's a fun game.
How crazy do you guys get?
Well, my brother starts off with sort of normal things, and then I just expand. Like he talks about getting land and having mini houses for everybody. So we all have a place to live, but we all have our own space. And so then I take it to a step further. I was like, so we're going to have a moat. He's like, what? Well, we want to keep the riffraff out. So we got to have a moat around the property. So then now we're on a lakefront with a moat around the property. But one of his kids wants to have Cocker Spaniels. So then I was like, so now we have power boats to get to each other's houses. So then I'm like, you're going to have a Cocker Spaniel in one of those power boats with his ears going.
Wow, what a dream.
And it just kind of keeps going from there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was one conversation.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I love to hear you and your brother talk. You guys, it's just entertaining. I can't even put it in words how entertaining it is. I love it. I love it. It's great. I never know where it's going to go. And then your brother's one of those people like he can jump from tangent to tangent, but he doesn't ever lose his place of where he was.
Yep. Well, ADD. Welcome to my world. Welcome to the world of ADD, and that's how we live. We live ADD style.
I will always remember the first time I had dinner when we were like that pizza place for everything. Your brother was there. I think it was before they had kids. And he was talking to everybody and carrying on multiple conversations. And we were talking. And then I thought that we weren't talking and he was talking to someone else. And so I just stopped what I was saying. And he turned and looked at me right in the eyes and he says, just because I'm not looking at you doesn't mean I'm not hearing what you're saying.
And then you learned a bad habit of just talking to people even when they're not looking at you.
Oh my God. Ever since then, yeah, I just keep going. And your brother forever changed that communication style in me to where I just keep going. I don't recognize, like, basically not everybody's Ryan, but in my brain, everybody's Ryan. So everybody's Ryan. I can just keep going. Yeah. Oh, yep. Good times. But I'm prepared to talk to Ryan. Even if I talk over other people, I'm like prepared to talk to him.
Prepared to do it.
Oh my gosh.
This episode where it was low key, it had a lot of psychological, impactful things that I got to see, like breaking down habits, like with feats, right? So I understand why she wants the property more than I did before. With Robyn, I'm starting to see a little bit more. Not that she's chained to the wall, but kind of see a little bit more what's going on. I still don't agree with Mary, but we'll see about that. And then with Dinosaur Girl, she does stuff for me, and I like dinosaurs. That whole situation, I actually get that more too. I didn't catch on to the teenage phase in the first conversation, so really, it kind of lends credence to their behavior that they're actually doing what they're doing is actually real and authentic, because I'm like, oh, I know what that behavior looks like and smells like and tastes like, and that's what it is. So it's more real. Like, it's not as contrived as I felt it wasn't the first time. I can see the duck goose part where it just leads from one to the next to the next to the next, and it makes sense to me. So this particular synopsis episode was really helpful in me seeing that the women, at least, have a bunny trail. I got lost.
I was gonna say, do you feel like you've been on an adventure?
Yeah.
This has been way different than the first episode we did together.
Yes. I still made up words, but a little bit more calmer.
Multiple wife-ism. Yeah, that's sticking.
I like that word. I really actually appreciated this one, even though it was so low key, because it really did. Man, I really like what I learned about Dinosaur Girl. She does stuff for me, Dinosaur Girl, right? And I really like what I learned about feats. I really think those two things really helped me.
Oh God. I don't even know how to even describe what this episode is at this point. Like, but I do like how you've given them these arbitrary names. Like, I never would have even thought, but you're more right on than I think you even know.
Well, I've never seen the show, so I have no idea.
No, but this is fascinating. I love it because I just am thinking about so many things from having watched the show for such a long time. And it's kind of refreshing to hear what you have to say. And then just how wildly on you are or completely just in the weeds somewhere.
Yeah, I'm either right there or way over there. I am either right on target or completely on somebody else's lane.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think the big chunk of this episode that I thought was the most fascinating was the conversation about, the property and her getting a lawyer and all of that. The rest of it was kind of,
well, she didn't even get a lawyer. She just talked to the lawyer they use. And then the way he interpreted that is you got a lawyer. Like he just immediately went defensive on something that's not being defensive. But that just shows that he's just trying to, it's like that thing where it reminds me of almost like when she said the lawyer thing, it's like he instantly felt like he was denied. So like, on a guy, the guy's like all about you, like, oh, hey, let's get together, let's hook up. And you're like, no, we're going to get to know each other first. And then all of a sudden you're ugly. You aren't good enough for me anyway. And you're like, you were just trying to get in my bed. And now all of a sudden I'm not worth it to you. No, that's not the problem. The problem is you feel like you feel rejected, and this is how you handle rejection. So you're just showing your true colors and why I should have rejected you in the beginning anyway. And I think this is his way of handling rejection, is that she brought up the word lawyer and he instantly felt rejected, and he just is lashing out. And this is how he acts when he's lashing out, is he stops listening, which he's never listened. When he lashes out, he just he grabs onto the thing that was pushed, that showed him that he was rejected is what he grabs onto and tries to put that back in their face. So I imagine the last time he was rejected and he lashed out, whatever she said, if she would have said, oh, you don't listen, then he would have made a bigger deal about how she doesn't ever listen and made a huge stink about, you don't listen because of this or this. Not that I know he did that. I'm just saying that whatever the reason is that he feels rejected, he takes that reason and shows the person that rejected him why that's actually them, not you. And it just is interesting to see that he's now handling rejection, and he finally feels the finality of Feats' cancellation of this relationship. And it would be interesting to see if he tries to back it out and tries to continue to pursue her, or if he's completely done with Feats and just now tries to get a lawyer and he'll never do that, because he's all bark and no bite, but tries to be like, oh, I'm gonna get a lawyer, and she's like, okay, great, sign the paper. Oh, I need my lawyer to tell me if I need to sign a paper. Okay, great, sign the paper. Oh, I need, just keep throwing it back in her face, because that's his next step. So we're gonna have 3 or 4 episodes of that.
Oh, for sure. And I think the thing about her, she says, is like, she knows that he takes forever to do anything, that he's going to play this long game. Like, she already knows.
Hey, look, I knew that. Look at that. Yeah. I got that.
Yeah. And like the other wives, she just knows him in a way that it doesn't seem like the other wives really pick up on. And she knows how to, ultimately, she knows how to get where she wants to go. And she knows like all his old tricks. So it's just kind of going through the motions, but to get to the point of what she wants out of it. Like, you know what I mean? So I that's what I feel. She's like, okay, okay, he's going to do this. Okay, well, we're going to dig around with this for a bit, and then we're going to go to this thing. Okay, yeah, same old. And then, you know what I mean? Like, his reactions to her don't faze her one bit. She just knows all the things he does. Yep. And she's just like, oh, okay, well, we're on to the next one now. And she is totally disconnected from him in any fashion or form, where all he can do is just like lash out. Like you said, it hits this thing in him where he has to react to it. Yeah. So I think you're right. There'll be more episodes of this going back and forth of this whole thing, because this whole dance has to play out.
Yes, and she also knows the steps. So like the stages of grief, right? She knows the stages of Chris,
Cody.
Charge. What? I need to name him because his name is not going to stick with my brain. Isaac?
I know, I could tell you his name is Cody, but I was waiting for you. I was like, where's she going?
Cody. Golden boy. That's right. I named him Golden Cock. So she knows the stages of grief of Golden Cock, right? So she knows that she's got to, first he's going to woo her, and then he's going to get wounded, and then he's going to lash out. So whatever the next stage of grief is for Golden Cock, she knows the stages of Cody, right? So she's just going down the list of check, check, check. Okay, we're on this stage, and how to manipulate this stage to move it to the next one, because she knows she needs to go through them all to get what she wants. That's the thing about what are those people called that make everything about them?
Narcissist.
Yeah, what was it? Narcissist is, to get a narcissist to do what you want, you actually have to know their list, you have to know their playbook, and you can't just get them to do what you want. To get a narcissist to do what you want, you have to get them to go down their list of the playbook. You got to get them to go down their steps. And so she knows how to get him to go down his step of his own playbook, and so that's all she's doing. I mean, narcissists treat everybody that how to win, because that's how you win against them. So if you ever want to know truly how to play a narcissist, see how they narcissist people. So see how they do it. Each one of them does it slightly different, right? So they'll do it to somebody, and then you're like, oh, that disillusionment, lies, taking other people's stories, like the one we know, right? So then that's how you get that narcissist, is you go backwards, you go the other direction, you walk them back down to the path, and now you've got that narcissist where you want them, and you can do it if you wish to do anything with a narcissist. Not that I would have any desire to narcissist a narcissist, but growing up with one and having several in the cult settings that I've been in, you learn how to navigate a narcissist, and that's how it's done, is you go down the steps, and essentially she may have figured that out without knowing what she's figuring out.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. And essentially she's now teaching the world how to deal with narcissists by her actually walking him back. So now all of you people know how to deal with a narcissist.
I love that. I love that, because I don't even know if she's fully aware of.
Nah, most people aren't. I mean, narcissists are so terrible and so hard to deal with and so damaging that you get stuck. And the thing about a narcissist, one of the things they're really good at is getting you stuck in your own wheels. So when you're stuck in your own wheels, it's hard to peek out. Like if you're a rodent on a wheel, right? You're not going to put your head out while you're running. You're going to get your head whacked. And that's really difficult. So the fact that she knows this, the fact that she can do it, is very self-aware, is very self-telling of her abilities to keep her shit together. And if that's what she's doing, which is what it sounds like to me that she's doing. And so just, and I love that, because you don't see it very often of people narcissisting a narcissist. It's not the easiest thing to do. And we shall see.
Yeah. And I think some of her statements were very telling, where he was like, we can't reconcile. And she's like, if we were two completely different people, if we lived in a completely different universe, like,
so that he does a lot of he does a lot of bait and switching. So that's a bait and switch. That's taking a cutout of them and putting them in a different scenario to make it possible over here, even though, so that's a bait and switch. So he does a lot of bait and switching, right? So that's her version of doing that bait and switch. So I can see, just by how she's doing it, what his tactics are as a narcissist.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I think that's so interesting. I never even thought about it that way. So she's using that kind of language she knows that he will use, or that he has used her.
Right.
Or he's trying to worm his way to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. I thought this whole conversation was very interesting, but now I think it's interesting on a different level as well. So it's like, you know, seeing what the next conversation is kind of fascinating, of how many of these different steps and things that she's going to have to go through that, I don't know. So I'm interested to see more of these interactions for sure, because there's stuff we know like off the show. So like, you know, the issue at the property gets resolved, but we don't know exactly when. We know like, basically all the wives are kind of doing their own thing except for Robyn's with Cody, and they're all having kind of some type of success in their own lives. Yeah. And then the only thing we haven't really talked about that's going on that's off the show is Mary, the first wife, who's the one that got like the spiritual release and everything. She is like dove into the deep end of self-help stuff. So I think I might have talked about this a little bit, but she's like doing these, she calls it Worthy Up, but it's not even like her original concept. It's a inspiration from a book of the same name, but like she's charging people to be in the Facebook group to hear from her. And then she's been charging for what she calls a symposium. So a convention she's putting on for people to come hear from her and guests and stuff. And it's people who have gone have said they still don't understand what it is, because it's just like, not quite, or maybe it is self-help. I've never been to a self-help thing, but it kind of reminds me more of like church stuff we would have gone to, where they're always like raising money or trying to get you to sign up for stuff, or you don't really know what exactly this is for, is the feeling of her stuff. And like just getting people's money out of them. And you just leave from these things feeling like, what did I just listen to for the past 2 hours? Or what the hell is going on? Like, what am I getting out of this? Like, people leaving just as confused as when they first walked through the door. So she's, I guess trying to make herself her own cult leader. I don't know what exactly she's up to, but it's just very strange. And everybody's who a part of it says it's real weird and real,
Wow.
like,
She's doing a terrible job as a cult leader.
Yeah. And she has these people she's associated with who speak at these things, but they're like very new friends, very new connections. They're not really anybody in their own right, besides her saying it's someone you should listen to.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a terrible cult leader.
So it's so strange. And what I think is so like insane to me is that none of these people so like there's other shows where people have launched businesses and kind of bank off their popularity of being on the show. This family hasn't done anything that's real like making a buck. That's like a good idea of, at least using your fan base to make your business profitable. It's very strange. So it's something that gets talked about a lot, where it's like, of all the stuff they could do, you could sell stickers of your face, like all the things you could do that you don't do. Like,
well, Socks now can sell her pictures of her feet. We got Golden Cock. I mean, he can have the Golden Cock Award. That'd be amazing. We have Mary's now Cult Mary.
Yeah.
Dinosaur. Dinosaur. She's the only name I remember is Cult Mary. But she's not Cult Mary. We got Dinosaur, and she does stuff for me, girl.
Mm-hmm. She does stuff for me,
girl. So how did they end the show today? What was like what was the thing they left you with? Besides sadness and questioning your worthiness.
I mean, I just remember that the end of the conversation, because they're kind of in this upstairs portion of this restaurant, and it kind of ends with them talking about the lawyer. So they both get up from the table and they kind of awkwardly are trying to go out this narrow door and narrow stairs. And then I think it has some coming up thing at the end where it's like, I don't know.
Next time, just socks.
Next time, some shit that doesn't seem that interesting.
Right. But I think this will be good. Next time will be good because
maybe more Christine and David doing more wedding stuff that we don't.
Yes, I like dinosaurs, and she does stuff for me.
Oh, I remember. You remind me now. Okay, so they were showing the next episode of some party. I don't remember what the party is, but it was the first party where David is going to be with Christine at the party and Cody's coming with Robyn. So it's going to be the first time the ex and the boyfriend meet.
Why are they going to a party together? Oh, because of children. Got it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe
children.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically. I barely made it through that episode, and you just barely reminded me of that scene. Yep. Well, it just didn't stick because it wasn't interesting. It was like all they showed was them being in the same room, and I feel like if it was really something, they were going to show them like maybe a part of a conversation, then cut it so you have something to be like, ooh, I want to see that full thing. But they just kind of look at each other across the room, and that's it. That's the teaser. They look at them across the room, and then Robyn says something in her confessional about she doesn't know how this is going to go or some shit. But yeah.
Well, you thought this episode was boring until I pointed things out, and now you're like, oh, this ended up interesting. So next episode.
It did, and it elaborated a lot more in the conversation with him and Janelle, and I liked it so much. So yeah, that you helped me enjoy the show more, and you haven't even watched it. So
I've never watched it, and I never will.
For your service.
Yes, God has bestowed on you the blessing of this show.
Yes, and like you said, you have not watched it. You will never watch it.
No.
I haven't convinced you to watch it yet.
No.
Okay.
No.
Failed twice. Check and check.
I can't even watch shows. I said this at the beginning. I can't even sit through a show I like.
Oh, okay. All right, we're good. We're done. We finished the episode.
Woo. All right, I'm going to bed.
All right. Good night.
Night.
Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.